The chamber above the blue giant star had never been silent before. It was built for noise, hundreds of species speaking at once, layered translations humming through the air, holograms flickering with constant motion. The Galactic Council believed chaos was proof of life, proof of unity. But now, the chamber was quiet. Not calm, not peaceful, afraid. A rotating image hovered above the circular floor, burning worlds. Cities reduced to ash. Trade routes blinking out one by one. Entire systems marked with the same cold symbol, lost. Council Speaker Virex adjusted his crest, trying to hide the tremor in his limbs. He had chaired emergency sessions before. Pirate wars, border skirmishes, even minor extinction events. This was different. These attacks, he said carefully, are not following any known pattern. The enemy does not communicate. They do not retreat. They erase. A murmur spread through the chamber. Representatives leaned closer to their consoles. Analysts scrolled through data too fast to read. Fleet Admiral Keth of the Talvex slammed a claw against the table. Then we respond with force. Mobilize the combined fleets. A dozen voices shouted agreement. Until the sensors chimed. Sharp, loud, unignorable. Every console in the chamber flashed red. An aide spoke, her voice thin. New contact detected. Outer edge of mapped space. How large? Virex asked. The aide swallowed. Unknown. Sensors can't lock. That alone was enough to stir panic. Nothing escaped Council sensors. Nothing. A star map expanded, showing a dark region beyond established routes. An area most charts barely labeled at all. Old. Ignored. One of the historians shifted uncomfortably. That region is marked as restricted. By who? Keth snapped. No one, the historian replied. It predates the Council. The map zoomed further. Ancient warning symbols appeared, translated long ago, then quietly removed from modern databases. Do not enter. Hostile environment. Legendary threat. A ripple of unease passed through the chamber. Virex frowned. Legends. The historian hesitated. Stories. Myths, really. From early expansion eras. About a death world species that once occupied that region. Several council members laughed nervously. You mean the humans? Someone scoffed. The laughter grew louder, more confident. Relief crept in. Humans are a myth, another said. A cautionary tale parents told hatchlings. Violent primitives who destroyed themselves. Yes, a merchant lord added. No confirmed records. No living proof. They vanished thousands of cycles ago. The historian did not laugh. Before he could speak, the sensors chimed again. This time, the sound was different. Deeper. Continuous. The aide stared at her screen in horror. Contacts multiplying. Dozens. No, hundreds. The star map changed. Lights appeared in the dark region. Not blinking. Not flickering. Moving. In perfect formation. The chamber erupted. Impossible. That region has no stable jump lanes. They're ignoring physics. Identify power signatures. The aide shook her head. We can't. Their drives don't match any known technology. The lights grew closer. Closer. Then, without warning, they stopped. Right at the edge of council space. Silence fell again. The hologram shifted, resolving into shapes. Massive shapes. Warships are longer than city spires. Hulls layered with dark armor that swallowed light instead of reflecting it. No visible weapons. No glowing engines. Just presence. They're not attacking, someone whispered. No, Virex said slowly. They're waiting. A single signal pierced the chamber's systems. Not an intrusion. Not a hack. A request. It's a transmission, the aide said. Open format. No encryption. From who? Keth demanded. The aide looked up. They identify themselves as Human Fleet Command. The word human hung in the air like a held breath. The historian's voice broke the silence. They were never a myth. A visual feed opened. The image was simple. Stark. A dark command bridge, lit in cold white. No decoration. No excess. Figures stood at attention, upright and still. They were smaller than most council species. Soft-skinned. Two eyes facing forward. Humans. One stepped closer to the camera. An older male. His uniform bore no medals. Only a single symbol. An unfamiliar crest shaped like a broken circle. He looked directly into the lens. Into the chamber. Into history. This is Fleet Commander Elias Ward of the Terran Defense Coalition, he said calmly. His voice was steady, controlled, carrying no anger, and somehow, that made it worse. We have been observing the recent attacks on your worlds. Virex found his voice. You claim to be human. That is not possible. Humanity disappeared. Ward nodded once. You stopped recording us. That is not the same thing. The chamber stirred, fear replacing denial. Ward continued. Long ago, we withdrew beyond your borders. We were labeled dangerous, unstable, better forgotten. His eyes hardened slightly. So you forgot us. The star map shifted again. New data appeared. Ancient battles, recorded from angles no council archive possessed. Human ships standing alone against galaxy-ending threats. Worlds being saved. Fleets retreated while humans held the line. The footage was cut off. Ward leaned forward. The enemy you face now, he said, is not new to us. A pause. We defeated them once. At great cost. Behind him, the human fleet loomed in silence. We did not come for conquest, Ward said. We did not come for revenge. His gaze sharpened. We came because the galaxy is burning again. The transmission began to close. One final thing, Ward added. We request immediate access to the Galactic Council chamber. The word request felt misleading. If denied, he said calmly, we will proceed anyway. The screen went dark. The chamber exploded into chaos. And beyond the edge of known space, the human fleet began to move. The Galactic Council chamber did not calm after the transmission ended. It shattered. Voices overlapped in panic. Translation fields struggled to keep up as delegates shouted in fear, denial, and anger. Some demanded weapons. Others demanded explanations. A few simply stared at the darkened screen where the human commander had stood, as if expecting him to return. Council Speaker Virex struck the central glyph repeatedly until the chamber's sound dampeners forced silence. Order, he said, though his voice lacked authority now. We will maintain order. Fleet Admiral Keth rose slowly, his mandibles tight. That was not a request, he said. That was a threat. Across the chamber, strategist Lore of the Zalari folded her limbs. Or a warning. The difference mattered. Aid stations flared again. Sensor officers spoke in urgent tones. The human fleet is advancing, one announced. Slow, controlled speed. No weapons charging detected. How many ships? Virex asked. The officer hesitated. I don't know. Every time we adjust resolution, more mass appears behind the first line. They're layered. Deep. A murmur spread again, lower this time. Fear without humor. Historian Malvek finally stood, his voice quiet but firm. The archives were altered, he said. Deliberately. Entire centuries of human history were removed. Several heads turned toward him. By who? Someone demanded. Malvek's eyes lowered. By early council consensus. The humans were inconvenient. Silence followed that word. Inconvenient how? Virex asked. Malvek gestured, and new images filled the chamber. Old records. Crude by modern standards. Grainy battle footage. Human ships moving with reckless precision, ramming larger vessels to break formations, holding lines while allied fleets fled. They fought differently, Malvek said. No rigid doctrine. No retreat when logic said retreat. They treated extinction-level events as acceptable losses. A ripple of unease passed through the delegates. They won wars no one else could, he continued. And afterward, they were feared. Not hated. Fears. Fleet Admiral Keth clicked his mandibles. So the solution was to erase them? To isolate them, Malvek corrected. Trade cut. Navigation data restricted. Their space is labeled unstable. Dangerous. Over time, forgotten. The chamber trembled as the station adjusted orbit around the blue giant below. The light flickered, casting long shadows across the floor. Council Speaker, an aide said urgently. The humans are transmitting again. Virex hesitated only a moment. Display. The image returned, not the command bridge this time, but a wide external view. The human fleet had moved closer. Now their size was undeniable. Ships the length of moons glided beside smaller, needle-shaped vessels arranged in geometric patterns. No wasted movement. No visible exhaust. Space bent subtly around their hulls, like gravity itself made room for them. They're beautiful, someone whispered. And terrifying, another replied. A new figure appeared on screen. A female human this time, younger than the commander. Her uniform bore the same broken circle symbol. This is Admiral Renata Cole, she said. Second Fleet, Terran Defense Coalition. Her eyes scanned the chamber calmly. We have detected internal debate, she continued. Allow us to simplify. The star map changed. A new set of symbols appeared, red spirals marking the enemy's advance. They are not raiders, Cole said. They are harvesters. They move system to system, strip resources, collapse stars, and move on. You are not the target. You are the path. Several delegates recoiled. You should have known this, Cole added. Your sensor networks were designed to detect conventional threats, not predators. Fleet Admiral Keth leaned forward. If you know so much, why reveal yourselves now? Cole did not hesitate. Because containment has failed. A pause. You erased us from history, she said evenly. But history remembered you. Another image appeared, human worlds. Not gleaming utopias, but fortified systems wrapped in layered defenses, ringed with shipyards and deep space platforms. For thousands of years, we prepared for their return, Cole said. We hoped you would never need us again. Her gaze sharpened. You do. A low alarm sounded in the chamber. Enemy fleet detected, an aide said, voice shaking. They've entered council space. Multiple vectors. Panic surged instantly. How long until contact? Virex demanded. Hours, the aide replied. Maybe less. Cole's image did not change. Permission to act, she said. The phrasing caught the chamber off guard. You asked permission? Strategist Lore said. We respect borders, Cole replied. Even when we were denied respect. That stung. Virex hesitated. Every instinct screamed danger. Granting access meant trusting a species they had buried. Denying it meant facing extinction alone. He made his choice. Permission granted, he said. Defensive action authorized. Cole nodded once. Thank you, she said. Please observe. The feed switched again, this time to live in battle space. The enemy fleet emerged like a swarm of shadows, angular vessels bleeding energy into space, tearing apart a defending alien flotilla with ease. Ships vanished in seconds. Formations collapsed. Then the humans moved. No charge. No roar. The human fleet adjusted position by fractions of degrees. Light bent. Space folded. The first human strike did not look like a weapon. It looked like reality snapping back into place. Enemy ships crushed inward, hulls collapsing as if squeezed by invisible hands. Entire sections of the swarm vanished, erased without explosion. What was that? Someone whispered. Localized gravity inversion, Malvec said faintly. Theoretically impossible. Human vessels advanced. Smaller ships detached, weaving through the battlefield with surgical precision, disabling enemy craft rather than destroying them. Larger vessels projected fields that bent incoming fire away from civilian stations. They're protecting us, Virex realized. The enemy responded, launching everything at once. Human ships took the hits and did not break. Armor reconfigured in real time. Shields adapted. Damaged sections sealed themselves. Within minutes, the enemy fleet was gone. Not defeated. Gone. Silence returned once more. Cole's image reappeared. This was a limited engagement, she said. A test. A chill ran through the chamber. The main force is larger, she continued. And closer. Her gaze softened, just slightly. We will hold the line, she said. As we did before. She paused. But understand this. Humanity does not forget twice. The transmission ended. Outside, the human fleet repositioned, forming a defensive wall between the galaxy and the coming dark. And for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council understood the truth. The legends had not been exaggerated. They had been warned. The battle footage replayed across the Galactic Council chamber in slow motion. Not for celebration. For understanding. Council Speaker Virex watched the human ships hold the line again and again, absorbing impacts that would have shattered any modern fleet. Each replay revealed something worse than raw power. Control. No wasted fire. No panic. No pursuit beyond necessity. Humanity fought like a species that had already survived extinction and learned from it. The chamber doors sealed as emergency protocols engaged. The enemy had retreated for now, but no one believed it was over. Historian Malvec stood alone at the center, surrounded by glowing data columns pulled from archives no one had accessed in centuries. The council asked how humanity vanished, he said quietly. This is the answer. The images changed. Early exploration logs appeared. First contact records. Old council debates. Their language blunt and unfiltered. Human adaptability is excessive. Their casualty tolerance is disturbing. They escalate too quickly. Murmurs spread through the chamber. These were not accusations, Malvek continued. They were fears. The logs showed humans fighting alongside early council fleets, laughing between battles, repairing alien ships before their own, volunteering for missions marked as unlikely to return. They saved worlds, Malvek said, repeatedly. But every victory made the council more uneasy. A new recording played. A human diplomat stood before an ancient version of the same chamber. Tired. Calm. If you fear us, the human had said, then learn from us. Do not erase us. The vote that followed was swift. Isolation. Trade restrictions. Navigation denial. Cultural erasure. Not war. Silence. They believed humanity would collapse without the galaxy, Malvek said. They were wrong. The image shifted again, human space after isolation. Instead of decay, it showed transformation. Shipyards grew into megastructures. Colonies hardened into fortress worlds. Research stations vanished into deep space, hidden behind physics-bending fields. They prepared, Malvek said. Not for revenge. In return, Fleet Admiral Keth leaned forward, his voice low. Why didn't they strike us when they were ready? Malvek met his gaze. Because the enemy wasn't you. A sharp alarm interrupted the chamber. Long-range sensors triggered, an aide reported. Enemy activity detected across multiple sectors. Strategist lore stiffened. They're splitting. Virex clenched his claws. They're bypassing the human line. No, the aide said. They're testing it. The feed switched live. The enemy fleet did not attack directly. Instead, it launched fragments, smaller, faster vessels slipping through microtiers in space, skimming past the human defensive wall. Interceptors, lore said. They're probing for weakness. Human response was immediate. Smaller human ships detached and pursued, but not all. Several probes slipped through. Civilian systems? Virex asked. Yes, the aide replied. Unprotected worlds. Refugee hubs. Silence fell again. The humans had a choice. Protect the core, or protect strangers. On the human command bridge, Fleet Commander Elias Ward watched the same feeds. His jaw tightened, not in anger, but resolve. Redirect 3rd and 7th wings, he said. An officer hesitated. That will thin the wall. I know, Ward replied. Do it. Admiral Cole turned toward him. If they break through. They won't, Ward said. We'll hold on. The human fleet shifted. Gaps opened, small, deliberate gaps. The enemy noticed immediately. Their main force surged forward. Back in the council chamber, panic erupted. They're going to breach. They're sacrificing the line. Virex turned to Malvek. Is this how it happened before? Malvek nodded slowly. Yes. The feed showed human interceptor wings racing toward distant civilian systems, arriving seconds before the probes. They did not engage recklessly. They were shielded. Human ships placed themselves between enemy fire and alien habitats, absorbing hits meant for cities they had never visited, for species that had erased them. One interceptor took a direct impact. It did not explode. It shattered, breaking apart into controlled fragments that expanded into a defensive lattice, dispersing the blast harmlessly into space. What was that? Someone whispered. Last resort hull doctrine, Malvek said. Human ships are designed to die usefully. The enemy main force pressed harder, sensing opportunity. Human capital ships locked position. Space around them warped violently as weapons beyond council comprehension activated, not to attack, but to stabilize reality itself. They're anchoring space, Lore realized. They're preventing collapse. Ward's voice came through the open channel, unfiltered now, echoing into the council chamber. Enemy fleet, he said calmly. You will not pass. The enemy responded, not with words, but with a surge of power that darkened the stars. Several human ships vanished from sensors. Gasps filled the chamber. They're gone, an aide said. No, Malvek corrected. They're buried. The feeds shifted, showing human vessels crushed into collapsed space pockets, holding breaches closed from the inside. They're still transmitting, the aide whispered. Human voices crackled through static. Anchor holding. Pressure is increasing. We have it. Ward closed his eyes for a fraction of a second. "Status?" he asked. A junior officer replied, voice steady despite tears. "Line intact. Civilian systems are secure." Ward nodded. "Then it's worth it." The enemy faltered. For the first time, their formation hesitated. Human ships advanced, not chasing, not raging, just advancing. The enemy withdrew again, this time faster, more disorganized. The battle feeds faded. In the council chamber, no one spoke. They had just watched a species choose sacrifice over safety, again. Virex finally stood. "You saved us," he said, his voice heavy. "Even after we erased you." Ward's image appeared one last time. "We didn't come back for gratitude," he said. "We came back because someone had to stand." He paused. "But understand this. Each time we do, the cost grows." The star map appeared behind him. New enemy signatures flared, far more than before. "They are learning," Ward said. "And next time, they will come prepared." His gaze hardened. "So must we." The transmission ended. The council chamber remained silent, not in fear now, but shame. And beyond the stars, the enemy regrouped. The real war had just begun. The silence after the battle did not mean peace. It meant calculation. Across the dark between stars, the enemy did not flee far. Their formations scattered, then reassembled at distances that strained even human sensors. They were learning, adapting, watching how humanity fought, how they sacrificed, how they held. And they were changing their approach. Inside the Galactic Council chamber, the atmosphere had shifted from panic to something heavier. Guilt sat beside fear. Every delegate now understood a single truth. If the humans fell, the galaxy would fall with them. Council Speaker Virex stood before the central display, his posture rigid. "Status report," he said. An aide responded, voice tight. "Human casualties confirmed. Multiple vessels lost or entombed in collapsed space. Survivability unknown." The word entombed echoed. Fleet Admiral Keth clicked his mandibles slowly. "They are dying to protect worlds that voted to erase them." Strategist Lore folded her limbs inward, a gesture of discomfort. "The enemy knows this now." As if summoned by her words, the sensors chimed again, soft at first, then escalating into a sustained alarm. "Enemy movement detected," an aide said. "They're not advancing as a single force." The star map expanded. Instead of one massive front, dozens of red spirals appeared across the map, lighting up border systems, trade hubs, and core routes. "They're surrounding us," Virex said. "No," Malvec corrected quietly. "They're surrounding humanity." The realization hit hard. The enemy was no longer testing the galaxy. They were isolating the only thing that could stop them. On the human command bridge, Fleet Commander Elias Ward watched the same data in silence. His officers waited, knowing better than to interrupt. "They want us stretched," Admiral Cole said at last. "Multiple fronts. Civilian pressure. Force us to choose again." Ward nodded. "They learned the wrong lesson." Cole raised an eyebrow. "Meaning?" Ward turned to face the tactical projection. "They think our weakness is compassion." He paused. "They're about to learn it's to our advantage." He activated a secure channel. "All fleets," Ward said calmly. Phase 2 authorization confirmed. Across the human formation, ships shifted. Not forward. Apart. To the Council's horror, the human defensive wall began to break into segments, each moving toward different threatened systems. "They're dispersing," someone shouted in the chamber. "That's madness." Malvec shook his head slowly. "No. It's doctrine." "What doctrine?" Virex demanded. Malvec's voice was barely above a whisper. "Total presence." The feed switched to multiple live views. Human fleets arrived at dozens of systems almost simultaneously, emerging not from known jump points, but from space itself, folding into existence with impossible precision. At each location, the same pattern repeated. Human ships positioned themselves between the enemy and civilian worlds. They did not wait for backup. They did not retreat. They held. The enemy struck harder than before. This time, they unleashed weapons that tore stars apart, beams that destabilized fusion, shockwaves that cracked planetary crusts. Human ships took the hits and answered, not with fury, with clarity. Human weapons fired in layered sequences, each strike calculated not just to destroy, but to disorient, disrupt, and sever enemy coordination. Enemy vessels began colliding with each other as their control fields failed. They're not overpowering them, Lore said in disbelief. They're unmaking them. On one feed, a human cruiser moved directly into the path of a planet killer beam. Its shields flared white-hot, then collapsed. The ship did not explode. Instead, its core detonated inward, creating a controlled singularity that swallowed the beam and the enemy vessel behind it. The singularity collapsed seconds later, leaving nothing behind. No debris, no survivors. Gasps filled the chamber. They're using themselves as weapons, Keth said. No, Malvek replied. They're using certainty. As the enemy losses mounted, something changed. The red spirals on the star map pulsed, then shifted. New vectors appeared. They're abandoning the outer systems, an aide said. All forces redirected to one location. The map zoomed in. A single system lit up. A blue-white star. A populated system. One of the galaxy's largest refugee hubs. They're going for a massacre, Virex said. No. Ward's voice came through the open channel, calm but edged with steel. They're going for a message. Ward turned to his officers. Signal the council. All of it. The chamber's displays flared. Every delegate saw it at once. The enemy armada, larger than anything before, converging on the refugee system. Millions of civilians. No meaningful defenses. And only one human fleet close enough to intervene. The smallest. They can't make it in time, someone whispered. Ward's image appeared, projected into the chamber. We can, he said. But it will cost us. Virex swallowed. How much? Ward did not look away. Everything in that sector. Silence. Commander, Virex said slowly. We cannot ask this of you. Ward shook his head. You didn't. The human fleet accelerated. Not through conventional space. Through something deeper. Their ships tore open controlled rifts, burning through energy reserves at suicidal rates. Hulls glowed. Systems screamed. One by one, human vessels dropped out of formation, not destroyed, but drained, their drives burned out, left drifting behind. They're sacrificing mobility, Cole said quietly. They won't be able to retreat. Ward nodded. We won't need to. The human fleet arrived in the refugee system moments before the enemy. They did not form a wall. They formed a shield. Every ship aligned between the planet and the incoming armada. Enemy fire began instantly. The sky burned. Human ships fell, some shattered, some vanished. Some simply went dark as crews vented life support to keep reactors stable. Still, the shield held. Ward's voice echoed through the channel, no longer just to his fleet, but to the galaxy. We were forgotten, he said. Buried. Erased. Enemy fire intensified. But we remember why we stand. A massive enemy vessel broke through the human line, charging its core for a planet kill strike. Ward's flagship moved directly into its path. Admiral Cole's voice broke protocol. Elias. Ward cut the channel. His ship's engines flared brighter than any star in the system. The flagship rammed the enemy vessel at relativistic speed. There was no explosion. There was a blinding collapse of light. When vision returned, both ships were gone. The enemy armada froze. Then, something unprecedented happened. They retreated. Not tactically. In panic. They scattered, tearing themselves apart trying to escape. The feed stabilized. The refugee world still turned below, untouched. In the council chamber, no one spoke. No one cheered. They had just watched a legend die to save strangers. An aide finally whispered. The human commander. His signal is gone. Virex lowered his head. But then, another voice crackled through the channel. Admiral Cole. Command transfer complete, she said, her voice steady but raw. Fleet integrity at 38%. She looked directly at the council. You wanted proof humanity was real, she said. You just watched it. The star map was updated. Enemy forces withdrew across all fronts. Human ships, what remained of them, holding position. The galaxy had learned the truth. Humanity was not a legend. Legends do not bleed. Humanity did. And still, they stood. The galaxy did not celebrate the retreat. It froze. Across hundreds of systems, emergency beacons powered down. Fleets held position instead of advancing. Trade lanes went silent, not from destruction, but from fear. No one knew what to say after witnessing a species burn itself alive to save strangers who had erased it. In the Galactic Council chamber, the empty space where Fleet Commander Elias Ward's image had once stood felt heavier than any enemy presence. Council Speaker Virex remained standing long after the battle ended. His voice, when it came, was quiet. Confirm the commander's status. An aide hesitated, then answered. No recovery signal. No escape pod telemetry. The flagship is gone. The words landed like a verdict. Fleet Admiral Keth lowered his head, a gesture of respect rarely shown to non-Talvex. They lost their leader for us. For everyone, strategist Lore corrected softly. Historian Malvek said nothing. He was staring at the ancient records again, seeing them differently now. Not as warnings. As confessions. The silence broke when a new alert chimed. Not hostile, not urgent. Administrative. Council Speaker. An aide said, confused, we're receiving transmissions. Not from the enemy. From where? Virex asked. From everywhere. The chamber lights dimmed as feeds opened across the central display. Civilian worlds. Refugee stations. Trade outposts. Places that had never spoken before. Alien civilians filled the screens, some wounded, some crying, some simply staring into cameras with expressions that transcended language. They saved us, one voice said. They shielded our planet, another whispered. We saw human ships die for us. A young alien clutching a sibling looked into the camera. Are the humans gone? The question hit harder than any weapon. Virex closed his eyes. Before he could answer, another presence entered the chamber. Admiral Renata Cole. Her image appeared without ceremony. Her uniform was scorched, one sleeve torn. She looked older now, not from time, but from weight. The fleet has stabilized, she reported. Enemy forces are withdrawing beyond pursuit range. No one interrupted. We have counted our losses, she continued. We will not hide them. The star map shifted. Human markers dimmed. Dozens vanished entirely. Others flickered, damaged, immobile, still holding positions they could not abandon. Our dead will not be replaced quickly, Cole said. Our wounds are even slower. Fleet Admiral Keth leaned forward. Why tell us this? Cole met his gaze. Because this is where history usually turns. The chamber tensed. This is the moment when fear replaces gratitude, she said. When people decide the cost of saving them was too high, and that the savior is the next threat. Several delegates shifted uncomfortably. You fear us, Cole continued calmly. You always have. Our power, our choices, our willingness to pay prices you would not. She paused. So let us be clear. The feeds changed again. Human fleet doctrine logs appeared, classified, raw, undeniable. We could have let those systems burn, Cole said. Preserved our strength. Protect only ourselves. She leaned closer to the camera. We chose not to. The chamber remained silent. And now, Cole went on. Some of you are considering containment. Restrictions. Controls. Bans. Virex stiffened. That discussion has not. You don't need to say it, Cole replied. We've seen it before. She straightened. If you intend to repeat history, she said evenly, do it honestly. A ripple of tension spread. We will not be erased again, Cole said. But we will not rule you either. She exhaled slowly. Humanity will withdraw our fleets back to the defensive line. We will hold against the enemy. Alone if necessary. Gasps spread through the chamber. You'll abandon us? Someone cried. No, Cole corrected. We will defend the galaxy. But we will not beg to be part of it. The transmission cut. The chamber erupted, not in panic, but in argument. They're manipulating us. They're right. We can't afford to alienate them again. They're too powerful to exist unchecked. Virex slammed the central glyph. Enough. Silence returned, strained and brittle. Humans are not the enemy, he said. But fear may yet make us one. Strategist Lore spoke carefully. If they withdraw emotionally, not militarily, we lose more than fleets. We lose trust. And if we embrace them? Keth countered. What then? A species capable of rewriting physics becomes our shield, and our shadow. Malvek finally spoke. You are all asking the wrong question, he said. They turned to him. The question is not what humanity will do, Malvek said. It is what we deserve if they stop. The sensors chimed again. Not an enemy. Humans. Admiral Cole returned, but she was no longer alone. Another figure stood beside her. A human officer in a plain uniform. Younger. His face was marked with fresh scars. This is Commander David Arun, Cole said. Former executive officer of Fleet Commander Ward. The word former hung heavy. Arun spoke, his voice steady but raw. I was on the bridge when the commander ordered the ramming maneuver, he said. I protested. So did others. He paused. He overrode us. The chamber listened, transfixed. He told us something before he cut the channel. Arun said. Something I am ordered to share. He looked directly at the council. If the galaxy survives, it must be because someone stood when standing made no sense. Arun swallowed. He did not die believing he was a legend. Arun continued. He died believing you could be better. The silence that followed was not shameful. It was resolved, forming painfully. Virex stepped forward. Admiral Cole, he said, voice firm. The Galactic Council recognizes humanity as a founding defender species. Gasps echoed. We will restore your history, Virex continued. Open archives. Full acknowledgement. Shared command structures against the enemy. Cole studied him carefully. And if your people resist? She asked. Then they will do so knowing the truth, Virex said. That their lives were bought by human blood. Cole nodded once. Then we will stay, she said. She paused. But understand this. Humanity will not lead from thrones. The feeds shifted to the battered human fleet. We lead from the line, Cole said. The transmission ended. Far from the council chamber, beyond the edge of retreating enemy space, something stirred. The enemy had not fled in fear. They had fled in recognition. They had identified humanity as the true threat. And now, deeper in the dark, something older began to wake. The galaxy had chosen unity too late. The enemy was no longer testing. They were preparing. And next time, they would not underestimate the humans who refused to become legends. The enemy did not strike immediately. That was how the humans knew something had changed. Across the monitored sectors, enemy movement slowed to a crawl. No probes. No harassment strikes. No chaotic testing of defenses. Instead, vast regions of space went quiet, unnaturally quiet. On the human command nexus, a structure woven into folded space far behind the front lines, Admiral Renata Cole studied the tactical projections with narrowed eyes. They're thinking, she said. Commander David Arun stood beside her, arms crossed. Exhaustion etched into his face. They weren't built for patience before. No, Cole agreed. Which means patience is no longer a weakness for them. Human analysts worked in silence, feeding simulations into predictive engines that spanned centuries of human war theory. The results were consistent. Disturbing. They are consolidating, one analyst said. Pulling mass inward. Compressing command layers. For what? Arun asked. The analyst hesitated. For something centralized. Something singular. At the same time, in the Galactic Council chamber, restored archives were flooding public networks. Entire histories resurfaced. Human sacrifices, abandoned battlefields, final stands that had saved alien worlds whose descendants had never known the cost. The effect was immediate. Across the galaxy, protests erupted, not against humanity, but against the Council itself. Civilian populations demanded answers, demanded accountability. Why were they never told? Why were the humans erased? Why were they standing alone again? Council Speaker Virex watched the feeds with a mix of relief and dread. Public sentiment is shifting faster than expected. Strategist Lore nodded. Toward gratitude. Toward guilt. And toward dependence, Fleet Admiral Keth added grimly. As if summoned by his words, the chamber lights dimmed. A priority transmission forced its way through every channel. Human priority. Admiral Cole appeared, her expression tight. The enemy has activated something, she said without preamble. We believe it is a core intelligence. The chamber stiffened. You mean a command AI? Virex asked. No, Cole replied. Something older. The star map expanded, zooming far beyond known space, past where even human long-range probes had dared to linger. A single region pulsed faintly. Dark, dense, alive. We encountered references to it in pre-isolation human records, Cole said. A coordinating entity, not a ruler. A memory. Malvek leaned forward, eyes wide. A gestalt. Yes, Cole said, but not like anything you've imagined. The image shifted. Ancient human battle footage appeared, fragmented, corrupted. Fleets fighting an enemy that did not maneuver like ships, but like thoughts. Attacks arriving before decisions were made. Countermeasures failed because the enemy already knew them. We called it the deep mind, Cole said. Not because it was intelligent, but because it remembered. The chamber fell silent. It learns entire civilizations by consuming them, Cole continued. Tactics, psychology, fear responses. It does not repeat mistakes. Arun spoke quietly. We thought we destroyed it. You didn't, Malvek whispered. You buried it. Cole nodded. And now, after watching us fight, it has identified the variable it failed to account for. Humanity, Virex said. Yes, Cole replied. But more specifically, human choice. The feeds shifted again. Enemy formations were no longer scattered. They were aligning, not toward human lines, not toward civilian systems, toward human space. They're bypassing us, Keth said. They're going for your home. Cole's jaw tightened. We expected this. You did? Virex asked. We planned for it, Cole said. But that doesn't mean we can stop it cleanly. She gestured, and a new projection appeared. Human core worlds, ringed with defenses so dense they resembled artificial constellations. If the deep mind reaches our space, Cole said, it will not attack immediately. Then what will it do? Lore asked. I will watch, Arun answered, and learn everything we are. The implication was horrifying. If it learns you, Virex said slowly, it learns us too. Cole nodded. Which is why we are invoking a doctrine we hoped would never be used. She paused. Total severance. The chamber erupted. You can't mean. You would cut yourselves off? Keth demanded. Again. Yes, Cole said. But not quietly this time. The map changed. Human space began to dim, its borders hardening, light bending inward as reality itself tightened around it. We will seal our space completely, Cole said. No signals in. No signals out. No observation. You'll blind us, Virex said. And save you, Cole replied. The deep mind cannot learn what it cannot see. Arun stepped forward. But it will still come, he said. And when it does, it will throw everything it has at the barrier. Can you hold it? Lore asked. Arun didn't answer. Cole did. For a time, she said. Long enough. For what? Virex asked. For the galaxy to prepare, Cole said. Without us holding your hand. Silence followed. You're abandoning us again, someone whispered. Cole's eyes hardened. No, we're forcing you to stand. She softened slightly. We will not die quietly behind a curtain, she said. When the barrier falls, if it falls, you will see us fight. And if you lose? Virex asked. Arun met his gaze. Then you will know exactly what is coming. And you won't have to wonder if we could have done more. The transmission ended. Across human space, the severance began. Stars dimmed. Jump lanes collapsed. Observational probes lost lock as physics itself twisted into something closed and absolute. The enemy noticed immediately. Deep within the dark region, the pulsing mass shifted. The deep mind turned its attention fully toward the sealed human frontier. And for the first time, it hesitated. Inside the barrier, humanity prepared not fleets, but contingencies beyond war. Archives were unlocked. Knowledge caches seeded toward hidden beacons aimed at non-human space. If they fell, the galaxy would inherit everything humanity knew. On the far side of the barrier, the Galactic Council watched their sensors go blind, one by one. Virex felt the weight of it settle on his chest. They're trusting us, he said quietly. To grow up. Malvek nodded. And daring the dark to break them. Beyond the severed stars, the deep mind gathered itself. It had learned fear. Now, it is intended to understand sacrifice. And when the barrier finally began to crack, slowly, painfully, the galaxy would learn whether humanity had been a shield or a final warning. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy had no eyes on humanity. The severance barrier did not look like a wall. It looked like an absence. Human space had folded inward on itself, stars dimmed into distorted echoes, jump lanes snapping shut as if they had never existed. Long-range sensors returned only static and warped mathematics. Humanity was gone again. But this time, everyone knew why. In the Galactic Council chamber, the silence felt different from before. It was no longer ignorance. It was waiting. Council Speaker Virex stood at the center of the chamber, staring at the blank region where human space had been. Status, he said quietly. An aide answered, voice low. No signals. No leaks. The barrier is absolute. Strategist Lore folded her limbs. Which means if it fails, it will fail catastrophically. Fleet Admiral Keth clicked his mandibles. Or deliberately. The galaxy had changed in the weeks since the severance. Human archives, released before the barrier closed, had rewritten entire military academies overnight. Defensive doctrines once dismissed as excessive were now mandatory study. Civilian worlds hardened infrastructure. Fleets drilled for coordinated sacrifice, not just survival. Humanity has forced growth through absence. But the enemy did not wait. At the edge of the severance, space began to move. Not bend, not warp. Move. Sensors picked it up first as an error, negative mass readings, recursive echoes, signals arriving before they were sent. Then the barrier pulsed. Once. Twice. A ripple spread across the sealed frontier like a wound reopening. They found it, Lore whispered. Inside the barrier, humanity felt it immediately. Alarms rang across human space. Not panicked, not frantic. Calm. Controlled. Expected. Admiral Renata Cole stood on the bridge of a new flagship, hastily commissioned, its hull still scarred from incomplete repairs. Around her, officers took stations without hesitation. Barrier integrity? She asked. 87% and falling, an engineer replied. Pressure vectors are learning. They're not brute forcing it anymore. Commander David Arun stepped closer to the tactical display. The deep mind is mapping causality again. Cole nodded. It remembers us now. Across human space, fleets mobilized, not toward the barrier, but inward, deeper, closer to core systems that had not seen combat in centuries. They're not trying to break through everywhere, Arun said. They're choosing a single point. The projection zoomed in. A thin fracture glowed along the barrier, small, unstable, bleeding energy. That's not a breach, Cole said softly. That's a question. The deep mind was probing with intent. Answer it, she ordered. Human fleets surged toward the fracture. Outside the barrier, the Galactic Council watched the impossible happen. Sensors flickered, just for a moment. A glimpse. Human ships. Thousands of them. More than anyone had believed remained. They weren't exaggerating, Virex whispered. They were hiding. The fracture widened. Reality screamed. The first enemy construct emerged. Not a ship, not a fleet, but a shape that did not obey form. It unfolded into existence like a thought becoming solid, dragging pieces of broken physics behind it. Human weapons fired instantly. The construct adapted instantly. Beams curved away. Projectiles phased through empty space. Gravity collapsed and reformed. It's learning faster, Arun said. Yes, Cole replied. Because we're letting it. She activated a new channel. All fleets, she said calmly. Phase black. The order rippled through human space. Ships changed configuration, not outward, but inward. Weapons powered down. Shields collapsed. To the Council's horror, human vessels began moving directly into the fracture. They're feeding it, someone shouted. No, Malvex said, eyes wide with understanding. They're teaching it the wrong lesson. Inside the fracture, human ships did not attack. They synchronized. Reactor cores aligned. Neural command links fused across vessels, crews binding decision-making into a single distributed will. They're becoming one system, Lore breathed. Arun's voice was tight. They're denying the deep mind individual patterns. Cole nodded. You can't learn a species if it stops being predictable. The enemy construct reacted violently. It expanded, splitting into countless shards, each attempting to engage a different human response. But there were no different responses. Every human ship moved as one. Losses came fast. Ships vanished. Crews died. Whole wings burned out. And still, the formation held. Within the fracture, something new formed. Not a weapon. A choice. DeepMind hesitated again. It had consumed civilizations before. Absorbed their fear. Their desperation. Their attempts to survive. Humanity was not trying to survive. They were trying to end the question. Cole, Arun said quietly. If we do this, there's no coming back. She did not look away. I know. She opened a final channel, broadcasting not just to human space, but to the galaxy beyond the thinning barrier. Her voice echoed into the council chamber. This is Admiral Renata Cole of the Terran Defense Coalition, she said. If you are hearing this, then the barrier is failing as intended. Gasps filled the chamber. We did not seal ourselves away to hide, Cole continued. We did it to force an answer. The fracture flared brighter. The enemy you face does not fear destruction, she said. It fears irrelevance. Human ships began collapsing inward, merging reactors, overloading spacetime itself. We are about to remove ourselves from its memory, Cole said. Virex surged to his feet. You can't just. We can, Cole said gently. Because we planned for you to remember instead. The human fleet at the fracture reached critical mass. Reality folded. The deep mind screamed, not in sound, but in cascading failure. Patterns unraveled. Shards dissolved into meaningless noise. The fracture imploded. Light vanished. Then, nothing. The barrier snapped shut. Harder than before. Silence followed. In the council chamber, sensors showed only empty space where the battle had been. No enemy. No humans. No signals. They're gone, someone whispered. Malvec closed his eyes. They denied it the last thing it needed. What? Virex asked hoarsely. To understand humanity, Malvec said. Continuity. Weeks passed. Then months. No enemy attacks came. Trade routes cautiously reopened. Worlds rebuilt. But human space remained silent. Until one day, without warning, the barrier changed. Not cracked. Not bled. It opened. Slowly. Carefully. Human ships emerged, fewer than before, scarred, dim, but unmistakably alive. Admiral Cole's voice returned to the chamber. Humanity remains, she said. Relief flooded the galaxy. But Cole did not smile. The deep mind is not destroyed, she continued. But it no longer knows how to reach you. She paused. And now, she said, it never will, unless you teach it again. The transmission ended. Human ships took position at the frontier, not as conquerors, not as legends, but as a line the dark would never forget. And for the first time, the galaxy understood the final truth. Humanity was not the strongest species. They were the one willing to disappear, so that everyone else could live. The galaxy did not return to normal. It returned to change. In the cycles after the barrier reopened, no celebrations swept the stars. There were no victory parades, no triumphant declarations of peace. Instead, there was silence filled with work, reconstruction fleets moving without fanfare, defenses being redesigned, doctrines rewritten in languages that had never shared words before. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Not elevated, not worshipped, watched. Human ships held the frontier where the severance barrier had once been. They did not advance into galactic space. They did not retreat into their own. They simply stayed, forming a quiet, immovable horizon between the known and the unknowable. The enemy did not return. That absence terrified the galaxy more than war ever had. In the Galactic Council chamber, now permanently altered, Council Speaker Virex stood before a new symbol etched into the floor. It was simple. A broken circle, carefully restored. Humans. Status report, he said. Strategist Lore responded first. No hostile movement beyond the frontier. No deep mine signatures. No probes. Fleet Admiral Keth added. Our new sensor arrays confirm it. The enemy is still out there, but blind. Historian Malvec folded his hands. Because it cannot remember how to reach us. The chamber fell silent at that. Humanity had not destroyed the enemy. They had erased themselves from its understanding. That truth reshaped everything. A priority channel opened. Admiral Renata Cole appeared. Older now, her hair streaked with gray, her posture bearing the weight of choices that could never be undone. We're ready to talk, she said. Virex inclined his head deeply. We are listening. Cole did not speak immediately. She looked past the camera, toward the stars, toward the frontier where human ships drifted like scars across space. Once, she said, we believed isolation was mercy. Then we believed sacrifice was enough. She looked back. We were wrong. The chamber tensed. Humanity will not disappear again, Cole said. Not into silence. Not into legend. Murmurs spread. We will remain at the frontier, she continued. As a shield, yes, but also as a reminder. She activated a new channel. All fleets, she said calmly. Phase black. The order rippled through human space. Ships changed configuration, not outward, but inward. Weapons powered down. Shields collapsed. To the Council's horror, human vessels began moving directly into the fracture. They're feeding it, someone shouted. No, Malvec said, eyes wide with understanding. They're teaching it the wrong lesson. Inside the fracture, human ships did not attack. They synchronized. Reactor cores aligned. Neural command links fused across vessels, crews binding decision-making into a single distributed will. They're becoming one system, Lore breathed. Arun's voice was tight. They're denying the deep mind, individual patterns. Cole nodded. You can't learn a species if it stops being predictable. The enemy construct reacted violently. It expanded, splitting into countless shards, each attempting to engage a different human response. But there were no different responses. Every human ship moved as one. Losses came fast. Ships vanished. Crews died. Whole wings burned out. And still, the formation held. Within the fracture, something new formed. Not a weapon. A choice. DeepMind hesitated again. It had consumed civilizations before. Absorbed their fear, their desperation, their attempts to survive. Humanity was not trying to survive. They were trying to end the question. Cole, Arun said quietly. If we do this, there's no coming back. She did not look away. I know. She opened a final channel, broadcasting not just to human space, but to the galaxy beyond the thinning barrier. Her voice echoed into the council chamber. This is Admiral Renata Cole of the Terran Defense Coalition, she said. If you are hearing this, then the barrier is failing as intended. Gasps filled the chamber. We did not seal ourselves away to hide. Cole continued. We did it to force an answer. The fracture flared brighter. The enemy you face does not fear destruction, she said. It fears irrelevance. Human ships began collapsing inward, merging reactors, overloading spacetime itself. We are about to remove ourselves from its memory, Cole said. Virex surged to his feet. You can't just. We can, Cole said gently. Because we planned for you to remember instead. The human fleet at the fracture reached critical mass. Reality folded. The deep mind screamed, not in sound, but in cascading failure. Patterns unraveled. Shards dissolved into meaningless noise. The fracture imploded. Light vanished. Then, nothing. The barrier snapped shut, harder than before. Silence followed. In the council chamber, sensors showed only empty space where the battle had been. No enemy. No humans. No signals. They're gone, someone whispered. Malvec closed his eyes. They denied it the last thing it needed. What? Virex asked hoarsely. To understand humanity, Malvec said. Continuity. Weeks passed. Then months. No enemy attacks came. Trade routes cautiously reopened. Worlds rebuilt. But human space remained silent. Until one day, without warning, the barrier changed. Not cracked. Not bled. It opened. Slowly. Carefully. Human ships emerged, fewer than before, scarred, dim, but unmistakably alive. Admiral Cole's voice returned to the chamber. Humanity remains, she said. Relief flooded the galaxy. But Cole did not smile. The deep mind is not destroyed, she continued. But it no longer knows how to reach you. She paused. And now, she said, it never will, unless you teach it again. The transmission ended. Human ships took position at the frontier, not as conquerors, not as legends, but as a line the dark would never forget. And for the first time, the galaxy understood the final truth. Humanity was not the strongest species. They were the one willing to disappear, so that everyone else could live. The galaxy did not return to normal. It returned to change. In the cycles after the barrier reopened, no celebrations swept the stars. There were no victory parades, no triumphant declarations of peace. Instead, there was silence filled with work, reconstruction fleets moving without fanfare, defenses being redesigned, doctrines rewritten in languages that had never shared words before. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Not elevated, not worshipped, watched. Human ships held the frontier where the severance barrier had once been. They did not advance into galactic space. They did not retreat into their own. They simply stayed, forming a quiet, immovable horizon between the known and the unknowable. The enemy did not return. That absence terrified the galaxy more than war ever had. In the Galactic Council chamber, now permanently altered, Council Speaker Virex stood before a new symbol etched into the floor. It was simple. A broken circle, carefully restored. Humans. Status report, he said. Strategist Lore responded first. No hostile movement beyond the frontier. No DeepMind signatures. No probes. Fleet Admiral Keth added. Our new sensor arrays confirm it. The enemy is still out there, but blind. Historian Malvec folded his hands. Because it cannot remember how to reach us. The chamber fell silent at that. Humanity had not destroyed the enemy. They had erased themselves from its understanding. That truth reshaped everything. A priority channel opened. Admiral Renata Cole appeared. Older now, her hair streaked with gray, her posture bearing the weight of choices that could never be undone. "We're ready to talk," she said. Virex inclined his head deeply. "We are listening." Cole did not speak immediately. She looked past the camera, toward the stars, toward the frontier where human ships drifted like scars across space. "Once," she said, "we believed isolation was mercy. Then we believed sacrifice was enough." She looked back. "We were wrong." The chamber tensed. "Humanity will not disappear again," Cole said. "Not into silence. Not into legend." Murmurs spread. "We will remain at the frontier," she continued. "As a shield, yes, but also as a reminder.